So, how do you get what you want? A couple years ago, as I am sitting in my office in Silicon Valley, my coworker asks me, Ghizlaine, where do you see yourself a few years down the road? She couldn't find any better question as I was so ready for it. So I gently close my eyes as I'm intentionally stepping into my future self. I see myself purposeful, unraveling mysteries, connected to the energy that creates worlds. The people, the money, the ideas flow together, and it feels so exhilarating to be able to merge all of these good things. I spend my days elevating humanity, providing work in line with the highest frequencies in the planet, the frequencies of love and divine power. I feel eager, and whatever I want wants me. Whatever you want wants you. What do you want? I ask her. Ghizlaine, you're a delusional scientist and clearly off track. She laughs as she stares at another coworker. Get back to reality and push your code ASAP. We've been waiting for you. I knew I wasn't delusional. I was manifesting. And the exact same way you program a computer to fulfill on its new purpose, I was programming my mind to execute what's on the heart. Yet, here I am. It's the end of the day, and I'm back home, exhausted, out of my fantasy and back to reality. My heart felt limitless with desires and infinite possibilities, but my mind was very conscious of my current circumstance. Yet, growing up in Morocco, I was the perfect blueprint of success to my family and upbringing. From leaving home at 18 to pursue my education at the Swiss Federal Institute of Technology, to coming to the US through a scholarship for my master's at UC Berkeley, to landing high-paying AI scientist in one of the most innovative bubbles in the world. I had all the external validation from society, yet I have never felt as much pain and emptiness in my entire existence. I knew there was more to life than making corporations richer, and I couldn't find any sense of purpose in it. But at the same time, the only thing I was good at the time was math, and I was about to see what I haven't consciously spent my entire life building, crumbling in front of my eyes. Who am I without all these perceived accolades and labels I identified myself with? I was so chained to my identity, as if some dark force was holding my heels. But at the same time, I knew that there was no creation without distortion, and that there was a secret order in every disorder. So I kept digging, and as I'm observing around me, I see that 99% of humanity is living a status quo life, inexpressed, victim of their feeling and circumstance. So I set myself up on a discovery journey. I wanted to understand our past to better reimagine the future individually and collectively as a species. Who are we? And what made us who we are today? So I stumbled upon the work of the historian Hariri, and about 100,000 years ago, we were insignificant prehistoric hunter-gatherers minding our own business somewhere in the corner of Africa, in Kenya. And then at some point, we were able to conquer the moon, we sent rockets to space, and now we're manufacturing more life force energy, cloning ourselves through AI. So what are these higher mental faculties that allowed our species compared to animals to reach this level of creation? It all started with a fantasy we executed upon through the power of language. We humans are the only species who creates and believes fictional stories. And as long as everybody believes in the same fictions, have the same ideals, and comply to the same regulations, it becomes their reality. Let's take a look at major factors in the global economy. Let's look at these big corporations, Meta, for example, Amazon. What are these entities? They are major fictional stories created and maintained by the influential legal attorneys. What about politics? Human rights, countries and nations, what are they really? They are major imaginary stories we invented, created a meaning around it, agreed upon that meaning, and became extremely attached to. And there is no agreement without language. Some cultures, they don't even see the color green because it doesn't exist in their language. Same with commitment. When you decide to commit to bring your vision to fruition, you are creating a commitment where no commitment existed before. And the only place where your commitment exists is in your speaking. The most powerful companies in the world become beast engine by creating a vision first through stories and language, aligning their values through language again, and then working toward a linguistic mass hypnosis to align all employees toward the same vision, using their values as a compass to navigate the map from point A to point B. And those who align with the values, which are words in the beginning, supercharge the direction of the company, and those who don't, they bifurcate separate ways. But wait, let's look at this same distinction from a quantum physics perspective. Quantum physics says that subatomic particles are spinning all over, and we actually need a conscious thinking observer to be able to localize them in our three-dimensional reality in time and space. So basically, without a conscious observer, all there is void. Void equal an infinite number of possibilities that are ready for you to grasp based on your new state of consciousness. Your new state of consciousness is the stories that the new stories that you decide to subscribe to. These stories, they don't change the world around you. It just filters out whatever information it presents to you. So when you decide to stop identifying with the past stories of your past identity, you are back to zero, the void, the unknown. And this is the sweet spot where all the magic happens, because this is where you have space to stretch your imagination and decide to subscribe to new stories that are aligned with the highest life force that no AI can ever emulate. Your burning spiritual desire. And what I mean by that is simply what your spirit wants to express through you at this phase in time and space of your life. And you just know because it feels so good to follow it. And with the repetition of these stories, you start to tap into the power of confirmation bias, which is basically your mind's ability to attract evidence for whatever it believes to be true and reject anything that is not aligned with it. In the context of scientific experiment, there is a hard cost associated with it because it distorts the odds and falsifies the results. And a lot of time is actually spent in boxing the experiment in a way where the human mind is not involved, because we understand that there's no other way around it, as it doesn't matter what is true or not. What matters is what you believe to be true, because with repetition and aligned actions, it is inevitable that it becomes true. And when you activate the power of confirmation bias in life as a core for your experiment, you start to experience synchronicities. You attract the right people, you attract the right conditions, and you start to see that nothing is random. And as you zoom out from a macro level perspective, there is no coincidence, and you start to notice that it's all a concurrence of events that had led you to be exactly where you are today based on the initial hypothesis you had in your mind. That turned out to become a belief. But here is the problem. Some of those hypotheses are not very useful, and we inherited them at a time where we were not conscious enough to choose. We either inherited them from our ancestor and upbringing, or decided upon them at a time where we couldn't choose. We attached the meaning around it and became extremely attached to that meaning, and now it is running the show on autopilot without your permission. And so you decide to take charge, get back to zero, and write new code. Every single moment is an opportunity to strip away all concepts and choose to see the world as a fresh canvas. We live in an impersonal universe that doesn't care about your gender, your age, or your race. And as you speak and think your words long enough, it becomes law and it works with mathematical exactitude. I truly believe that we are here to evolve out of our character in the pursuit of what sparkles the heart. So, what is the good news? The good news is that your future is in your fantasies and you get to create it. And as you hold it long enough in your mind, speak it and align your action with it, it is inevitable that you will soon hold it in your hands, moving you from fantasy to theory.